Welcome to The Last Calm Word. Let us get started with today's story. I was sitting on the couch one evening scrolling through my phone when I noticed Annie had liked yet another one of Liam Langston's posts. It was not the first time. Over the past month, his name had been showing up on her feed more and more. Comments with inside jokes like stacked one after another. Liam was not just some random follower. He was her ex 3 years together before me. I let it slide at first, but it kept gnawing at me. Annie and I had been married for 2 years, and we had built a steady rhythm together. Shared apartment, shared bills, shared plans for the future. But seeing her ex constantly pop up online made something in me tighten. Boundaries mattered, and this was crossing one. That night when she sat down beside me with her wine glass, I spoke up. "Annie, can we talk about something?" She looked up from her phone. "Sure. What is wrong?" "I have noticed Liam's been pretty active on your posts. A lot of likes, comments. Honestly, it makes me uncomfortable. I think it would be better if you removed him from your socials." She blinked surprised. "You want me to delete someone because you feel weird about it?" I nodded. "Yeah, he is your ex. It feels like a boundary thing." Her expression hardened. Then she let out a sharp laugh. "You think you own me, Charlie. This is not the 1950s. I kept my tone even. I'm not talking about ownership. I am talking about respect. Being married means drawing lines. For me, keeping an ex this involved is not okay." She leaned back, smirking. "So I am just supposed to erase people from my life because you are insecure? That sounds controlling." "It is not insecurity," I said. "It is a boundary one that protects us, not him." She rolled her eyes, muttering something about toxic masculinity before returning to her phone. Conversation over for her anyway. I did not press further. There was no shouting, no pleading, just a quiet note in the back of my mind. She had made her stance clear. And so had I. She thought this was about ownership. What she did not realize was that in 2025, respect is not just private. It is public, time-stamped, visible to anyone watching. That was the moment I decided if Annie was not going to respect the boundary, I would handle it another way. I did not bring it up again after that night. Annie's laugh, the way she dismissed me with that line about the 1950s, told me everything I needed to know. She was not going to budge. I was not interested in yelling or nagging. That never fixes anything. I work in brand intelligence, and I have spent years studying how people shape reputations online, how subtle signals matter more than grand statements. I knew if I wanted to draw a line, it would not be with raised voices. It would be with strategy. That is when the idea for the Line Project came to me. A simple platform about modern relationships built around one core question. Where do we draw the line? Not about Annie directly, not about Liam, just universal examples, polls, stories, and case studies. I wanted to frame boundaries as something rational and necessary, not emotional or controlling. I started quietly a fresh Instagram account with a neutral name, a profile picture I pulled from a stock library. The bio read, "Exploring the modern rules of respect in relationships, anonymous stories, real data." My first post was a simple poll. Would you be okay with your partner liking their ex photos? Yes or no? Within hours, responses poured in. Comments stacked up. Some called it insecurity. More called it a red flag. People debated in long threads. It was exactly what I wanted. Conversation fueled by their own words, not mine. I pulled in help too. My colleague Noah Kim had a knack for video editing and storytelling. I told him I was experimenting with a side project about digital trust. He did not need to know the personal angle. He helped me polish short clips with captions, music, and slick pacing, so they fit right into the algorithm's sweet spot. Meanwhile, Annie carried on as if nothing had happened. As a lifestyle influencer, she kept up her usual content schedule, outfit photos, carefully staged brunches, and polished snapshots meant to maintain her brand image. Liam's likes never stopped. Every time I saw one, I logged it. Patterns, timestamps, frequency. I was not angry. I was methodical. She thought I was being old-fashioned for asking her to cut him off. But the truth is nothing about what I was building was old-fashioned. The Line Project started to take off faster than I expected. A few polls turned into carousels with clean graphics. Then short-form videos where I narrated anonymous scenarios. People engaged like wildfire. Every clip was framed as a neutral case study, but the parallels to my own marriage were deliberate. One night I scrolled through the comments. If your ex is still around, they are not really an ex. Boundaries are not control, they are respect. Threads went on for hours. I did not need to argue with Annie anymore. Thousands of strangers were making the case for me. A week later, we were invited to a small dinner hosted by Sofia Delgado, an old friend who worked in public relations. Over the conversation drifted to relationships and social media. Annie smirked and said, "Some men cannot handle their wives having male friends. They call it boundaries, but really it is just insecurity." Sophia raised an eyebrow. I would not dismiss it that quickly. Brands watch influencers closely. Even personal drama bleeds into partnerships. I have seen contracts end over way less. Annie brushed her off with a laugh. Please, people do not care about harmless likes and comments. I did not say a word. I did not need to. Sophia had just spelled out the truth Annie refused to hear. Perception mattered. Meanwhile, Liam grew bolder. He started leaving subtle public comments on Annie's posts. Classic Annie. Remember that trip, only to delete them a few hours later, just enough for her followers to notice. One evening, I asked, "Did you see Liam's comment on your photo?" She shook her head too quickly. "He comments on everyone's stuff, Charlie. Do not read into it." "Funny he deleted it after a few hours," I replied. Her expression tightened. "You are imagining patterns that do not exist." She turned back to her laptop before I could respond. But the thing is, patterns were exactly what I studied. Every interaction left a trace, and I was collecting them, quietly building a timeline. The pressure was not just between us anymore. The algorithm had picked up on Annie's engagement with the Line Project's content. Polls, debates, clips, and started feeding her more of it. Every scroll brought up posts about exes, trust, and boundaries. She did not know I was behind it. The walls were closing in slowly, and I had not even pushed yet. It happened on a Thursday night. Annie told me she was going to a coworker's dinner at a new tapas place downtown. She left dressed sharply, heels clicking against the hallway floor. I did not question it, just nodded and wished her a good evening. Later, as I checked our shared credit card account, a receipt popped up. Not from the tapas place she mentioned, but from a rideshare, drop-off near the Blue Lantern, a small club where Liam sometimes performed with his band. I did not react outwardly. I screenshotted the receipt, logged the timestamp, and waited. When she came home, I asked casually, "How was dinner?" She smiled a little too easily. "Good long. I am exhausted." I nodded, letting it pass. The next day, I confirmed, through the club's tagged photos. Liam had been on stage that night. 2 nights later, I asked her directly, "Why did the card show a charge at the Blue Lantern?" "I thought you were at dinner." She froze for half a second, then scoffed. "Charlie, it was nothing. Some coworkers wanted to stop there after dinner. Liam happened to be performing." We exchanged a quick hello. "That is it. Was it coworkers?" I asked. "Or was it closure?" Her tone sharpened. "You are twisting this into something it is not. You are obsessed. I can talk to whoever I want." I did not argue. I did not shout. I just let the silence sit between us until she turned back to her phone, annoyed that I had not taken the bait. That weekend, the Line Project ran a live case study. Title: When your partner tells you one thing, but the receipts point elsewhere. Anonymous details, anonymized screenshots. I did not mention names. I did not need to. Halfway through the live chat, a user with the handle Langston Liam jumped in, writing, "Not every friendship is suspicious. Some of us actually have history worth keeping." The comments exploded. People connected the dots instantly. They were not stupid. A married woman showing up at her ex show after lying about her whereabouts. It did not take much imagination, and Liam's defensive presence in the chat all but confirmed the story. By the time I ended the stream, the narrative had shifted. What Annie laughed off as ownership was now being debated by thousands of strangers under a harsher light, and neither of them could stop it because I had not named anyone. They had outed themselves. By Monday, the first cracks showed. Annie's inbox was quieter than usual. 2 of her brand partners sent polite but clipped emails. "We are pausing current campaigns and may revisit in the future." She tried to brush it off at breakfast, scrolling through her phone. Probably budget cuts. Nothing serious. But I saw her jaw tighten when she thought I was not looking. That evening, she cornered me in the kitchen. "You are behind this, or not you?" she demanded. "Behind what?" I asked, keeping my tone calm. "All these stupid posts about boundaries and exes. It is spreading everywhere. You think I do not notice?" I leaned on the counter. "Annie, if thousands of strangers are all talking about the same thing, maybe the issue is not the posts. Maybe it is the behavior." Her eyes narrowed. "If you do not take this garbage down, I will tell everyone what you are doing. I will ruin you." I did not raise my voice. I just said my marriage deserves private respect. I will handle the rest offline. I posted that single line later that night on the Line Project. No names, no finger pointing, just a quiet statement. It resonated far more than her defensive replies ever could. Meanwhile, I began separating our finances. I opened a new account, shifted my salary deposits, and documented every expense. Quiet, deliberate moves. The next day, I sat her down at the dining table. "We need counseling. I have drafted a written plan, clear boundaries, no private contact with exes, full transparency on direct messages, no public flirty interactions. We take this to a counselor, sign it, and move forward." She pushed the papers back across the table. "You are insane if you think I am signing this. I do not need a contract to justify who I talk to. You sound like a dictator." "Then we are at an impasse," I said simply. She stormed off, muttering about control. That night I noticed she was on a blocking spree online, cutting off commenters who mentioned Liam deleting anything that questioned her. To her, the problem was never the actions, only the audience that noticed them. 2 days later, Annie posted a note-style apology to her followers. A white background with black text, the kind that screams damage control. I have been reflecting on my choices. Boundaries are complicated, and I realize I could have handled things differently. I value respect in relationships, and I am learning to grow. The comments tore it apart within minutes. Per apology. She's only sorry she got caught. Textbook pick-me behavior. I did not comment. I did not need to. That night, Liam made his move. He posted a late-night Instagram story, just a shot of his wrist with a familiar silver bracelet. Annie's bracelet, the same one she would claimed. She would lost months earlier. His caption, "Some connections do not fade." The timestamp was clear. It overlapped with the same week she was posting her apology. Screenshots flew across group chats and Twitter threads within hours. If her apology had been shaky before this, made it collapse entirely. When I showed Annie the story, she went pale. "He is lying," she whispered. Or maybe I said evenly. "He is just proving what people already suspected." She grabbed her phone, typing furiously. I focused on practical steps. I contacted a lawyer, served Annie's separation papers, and set a firm move-out date. There were no dramatic fights, no yelling across the apartment, just paperwork and a calendar reminder. On the Line project, I dropped one last neutral post. Apologies matter less than patterns. Respect is measured in choices, not captions. It was not about Annie by name, but everyone knew what it meant. She tried to spin her own narrative online, but every post was met with screenshots of Liam's bracelet, reminders of her contradictions. She could not delete fast enough. The audience had turned. And unlike before this time, I did not need to push. The algorithm was doing the work for me. By the end of that month, Annie's online world was collapsing. She lost nearly 5,000 followers in 2 weeks. The comments on her posts were brutal. Even when she uploaded a harmless outfit photo, the replies circled back. "Where is Liam's bracelet?" Or "Respect your marriage before selling products." Liam did not escape either. His band stopped getting booked at the Blue Lantern after too many nights of drama following him in. At home, Annie was restless, pacing between the couch and the kitchen, checking her phone like she was waiting for a miracle. I was quiet, focused, moving through my own plan. Documentation stacked neatly in a folder on my desk. When she noticed, she asked, "So that is it? You are just leaving me to deal with this alone?" I answered calmly. "You left me to deal with it the moment you laughed in my face. I set a boundary. You broke it. I am not yelling. I am not begging. I am just done." She broke down crying, accusing me of orchestrating the smear, of manipulating everyone against her. I did not confirm or deny anything. I only said, "You chose actions that spoke louder than my words ever could." The rest handled itself. By the end of that week, I would moved into a smaller apartment across town. Clean break. Legal separation filed. Meanwhile, the Line project kept growing steadily. 100,000 followers. Enough ad revenue to cover rent twice over. I donated part of it to a nonprofit teaching digital literacy. Irony was not lost on me. Annie spiraled online, but I did not watch closely anymore. She was no longer my problem. For me, the story was not about revenge. It was about finally drawing a line that could not be crossed. 2 months later, Annie asked to meet. We sat across from each other in a quiet cafe. She looked smaller, somehow less sure of herself, dressed in plain clothes instead of the curated outfits she used to post daily. Her hands trembled slightly as she wrapped them around a coffee cup. "Charlie," she said, her voice low, "can we try again? I have been through hell. I was not cheating. It was just emotional confusion. I lost everything. Please." I let the silence stretch before answering. "Respect is not confusion, Annie. It is a choice, and you made yours." Her eyes filled with tears. "You do not understand what it is like." The internet destroyed me. I thought modern relationships could include friendships with exes. Maybe I was wrong, but I did not deserve this. I leaned forward. "No one would have cared about Liam if you had honored a simple boundary. You laughed at me, told me it was not the 1950s. You are right. It is not. Today, every choice is public. Every contradiction leaves a trace. That is the reality you built your life on," she whispered. "So that is it. You were just walking away." I set a spare key on the table. "I already did. I wish you well." I left her there, staring at the key as I walked into the cold air outside. Life after Annie was calm. I stayed low profile, kept my personal life private. Eventually, I started dating someone new. Cassandra, a software engineer I met through mutual friends. No Instagram, no TikTok, just a GitHub account and a dry sense of humor. It was refreshing. Sometimes when I scroll through the line projects comments, Annie's name still comes up. Remember backup plan Annie? As giving Annie energy, she has become a cautionary tale, an online ghost of choices that backfired. And I think back to that night sitting on the couch. When I asked her to remove Liam, she laughed and said, "You think you own me. This is not the 1950s." She was right. It is not. In the 1950s, disrespect stayed behind closed doors. In 2025, it becomes content amplified, time-stamped impossible to bury. Modern problems demand modern solutions, and sometimes the solution is simply letting someone's own actions magnified by the world they crave undo them completely. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Wishing you all the best, stay healthy, and take care.